BHU, MNNIT, Triple IT Prayagraj, and BHU University. And he has been motivating many youths to take up the right path. So today we are very glad to have a session with you, sir. Uh, we will have the session for 45 minutes and we'll have Q&A at last 10 minutes. Possible.
Thank you very much, Rakesh. It's my pleasure to speak to all of you here. All of you are doing such a wonderful job in IIT BHU conducting sessions for SCS. And whatever little bit I can contribute from my side, I'll be very happy to do that always. Okay. So I'll just share my screen.
Yes, sir. You are good to share.
Yeah. Is this visible?
Yes, sir.
It's visible.
Yes, sir. It is clearly visible.
Okay. Yeah. So I'll begin with a short prayer. Om Ajnanatimirandharasya Jnananjana Shalakya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. This is a short prayer to my spiritual teachers from whom I have received knowledge. So, few years before, around 2015, I was also a student of IIT BHU. So now currently I'm leading this Ummeed Foundation as the chairperson, and I will tell you about the activities of Ummeed a bit later. But I'll focus on today's topic, which has been given, the power of community. So I have named the topic as the power of we, community building. My dear students, you will always see that in life we can never ever be happy alone. Imagine a situation which I present in front of you, that you own maybe hundreds of crores, and you have a huge house, huge palatial house, around 58 room house you have, and you can in fact go and sleep every day in a different house for 2 months. That kind of luxury you have. Everything happens simply by speaking to Alexa. Everything is happening. Now my question to all of you is, if you are the alone person in that house, how much can you be happy there? Can you really experience any happiness? Have you ever seen um, people people going to suppose a person goes to a movie theater and he is the alone person sitting in the movie theater? Can he ever be happy? So the most selfish one letter word is I. Even though people whole life work for this I, but in fact we study in IITs, and we are into IT companies, and we use iPhones and iPads, uh, and this I is practically unavoidable in today's generation. But life should be a journey to move from I to we. The most satisfying two letter word is we. If we can use it and avoid I, our life will become much, much more glorious and much more fulfilling, satisfying, happy, contributing. So, I'll share a small personal incident with all of you. One time, after my BTech in NIT Trichy till 2014, I moved to the software firm United Health Group. Then I was very clear that I didn't want to move into corporate life, and I thought I'll write this GATE exam. But I was already it was November, and the GATE exam used to happen at the beginning of February. So practically the time which I had was only 3 months: November, December, and January. And truly speaking, in 4 years of my BTech life, I didn't go through the concept so nicely. So I was really thinking what to do. And at that time, I went to Hyderabad. And in Hyderabad, there was a coaching, ACE coaching, which I joined as a crash course. So they promised that they will complete the entire syllabus in just 2 months. So I immediately enrolled for that course. And that was exactly to be happened from mid of November to mid of January. I registered for that course, and I remember that when I was studying there, one day the classes were really hectic. The classes were because it was a 4 year course brought to us in just 2 months. So they would practically teach us from morning 6 a.m. Uh, to night 8 with two breaks, one for breakfast and one for lunch, half an hour and 1 hour breaks, and remaining all was they were really drilling us. But I was really enjoying the classes. The teachers were very good. But one time, like I got off, one of the teacher was not present, so entire session was off. 4 5 hours we had free, and I thought I'm really feeling tired and let me go back to my room. And at that time, I just thought maybe half an hour I can sit and study first in the classrooms. So there were some self-study classrooms there where we can sit and study. There will be no classes going on there. Just students will sit on the benches and they will do their self-study. I entered one of those classrooms, and my God, the classroom was filled with almost 600 to 650 students. Everybody doing self-study. The kind of inspiration which I received as soon I saw that huge crowd of students, that student community, I was really, yeah, I couldn't move out of that synergic place, that special place. I couldn't even think of putting a step outside of that classroom, and I was planning to go back to room after half an hour, but I stayed back for 5.5 hours at a stretch, and I was studying because looking at each one of them, I was getting so much inspiration. So like-minded people, if we have the community of like-minded people, it can really inspire us to do something which is to do something which even which alone we may not be able to gather that inspiration to do it. So the first and foremost principle what a community gives us is a huge surge of inspiration to overcome our weaknesses. You see this, there is a case study done on geese, and why do they fly in V formation? So there has been scientific research done on the way they fly and the trajectory they take and the shape they have, V formation. And it is explained by the researchers that if these geese fly alone, what amount of energy they would be requiring just by making a formation and flying in a community of geese. 20 to 30% of individual energy will be saved. This is statistics. 20 to 30% of the individual energy will be saved. Secondly, there is a concept that uh, the top leadership here, the front geese, which is taking a lot of air pressure which is coming on directly onto him, so that position will be periodically rotated and shifted. So there's this concept of shared leadership in these geese. So we have so much to learn from these geese. And also, if one of the geese gets injured, it is not alone. It goes along with two other geese to get recovered, and they help that geese in its flight. So when I saw this example, it very much resonates with the kind of communities which we want to make, the kind of benefits which we get by being in a community. So you can see first it conserves their energy. Each bird flies slightly above the bird in front of them, resulting in reduction of wind resistance. The birds take turns being in the front. So I was talking about this, about shared leadership. So 30 to 35% of energy is actually saved. Even honeybees, so that was geese, and these are bees. Even bees, honeybees, they live in colonies. they live in communities. So you will find that there are worker bees, there are queen bees, and they all, as a community, they perform to produce that honey. This is a very famous example of of redwood trees. You know, redwood trees, in the redwood forest, they have a very special characteristics. Redwood trees are one of the longest standing trees who have been able to withstand the huge winds, cyclones, and so many things they have been able to withstand. And yeah, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are clearly audible.
Yeah. So
Yes.
so generally people think that redwood trees must be having very deep roots. But when the researchers found about the roots of redwood trees, they were surprised, they were astonished, because the roots of redwood trees don't grow vertically, but they travel more horizontally, but they go more laterally. So it means the redwood trees don't go deep enough in their roots. But the question comes, how do these redwood trees, if they are not going deep in their roots, how are they able to withstand so many years of wind and heat and everything? How are they standing so tall and so strong without having deep roots? So any one of you would like to uh, like to guess what happens with the redwood trees? How do the redwood trees actually maintain this kind of strength? Yes, any one of you want to guess? Maybe I'll share with all of you what is the secret of these redwood trees. Actually, when the roots travel horizontally in the soil, so the redwood trees roots intertwingle with other roots of the other trees. Strength of the community. Even the smallest and the newest tree in the redwood forest gives strength to the tallest and the oldest tree. And obviously, the oldest and the tallest tree is giving strength to the newest member of the family. And that is how the redwood trees are able to collectively, unitedly stand together for such a long time, even amidst all natural calamities and everything. So our communities are meant to give individuals strength. So by being united, we are not 1 plus 1 2, but 1 plus 1 11. So that is the kind of strength. Even people who want to do parties, who want to drink, uh, like, even they also cannot do it alone. Can you imagine a person going to a party or going to a disco to dance, and he's alone? He's the alone person who has to dance, who is the alone person who has to drink. So even for these kind of activities, people need company, people need association, people need a community feeling where they want to come together and do something. So they say there was one advertisement of bagpiper. जब मिल बैठेंगे तीन यार आप मैं और bagpiper. So he also doesn't say that मैं and bagpiper, but he also says आप मैं. So it means we is required here also. My spiritual teacher, he gave this very beautiful example of cooking. He said that sometimes we may think that we want everyone like-minded in our community, everyone similar, everyone wearing the same dress, everyone doing the same thing. But actually, it's not necessary that a community is always of one color, of one shade. but there can be a lot of diversity in the community. But I will, in the second part of my discussion, I will discuss about what are the principles which actually make a community strong, stand very strong. So this kind of like you have seen your mother cooking, then there is so much color, there is so much flavor, there is so much variety in the ingredients which are put. Some are red, some are green, some are yellow, some are white, right? And all this adds to the flavor. So if I ask you, if I only give you rice, will you like it? If I only give you water, if I only give you milk, but if I have milk, sugar, rice, everything put together and some dry fruits, and then you have nice tasty kheer and sweet rice. So how delicious it will become. That is because all these ingredients have come together for a common purpose, for a common goal, for a common centered activity, to give taste to the person. So, in fact, some people in the community may be like salt, which may not be visible. Their contribution may not be exactly visible, but you will realize their importance the day when they are not there. Like you will never ever hear anyone say asking, "Aaj namak bahut acha hai." Anyone saying like this, anyone complimenting about salt, but when salt is missing, that time people say namak kam hai. It means that salt is something which is not recognized when it is there, but salt, if it is not there, is immediately spotted out that this is missing. So so in community, every category of person has a very specific role. Like you see, in music also you will observe that when there are orchestras, so every person has to play his instrument at a particular timing. So there is timing, there is variety, but there is perfect coordination. If every one of the if every one of the musician plays according to his own whims, he likes to play at this time and this tune he starts playing, someone else starts playing some other instrument, then then it will no more remain a music, but it will become a noise. So the difference between music and noise is that in music people are coordinated, people know their role, particular role, and they perform it at a particular timing. But noise, everybody is having his own centers, his own activity going on, and that is noise. Like a traffic jam, you experience noise. In Vedic culture also, there was this culture of joint families. So I remember my joint family long back, around 20 years back. I remember in a village in Andhra Pradesh. So my grandfather and my grandmother were the center of the entire family. And in summer vacation, all of us would come together in that village. And almost we were like 50 or 50, 54, 55 people together, 8 to 9 families, and it was really something very, very joyous. uh, Let me tell you, it's not just about joy or happiness, but it is something much more. You know what love a child can get from a grandmother? That love is irreplaceable. He cannot get that from his siblings, he cannot get it from his mother or father. That is a very unique flavor. Just like in cooking, as I was telling, every ingredient adds value, adds taste. There is a particular flavor which that ingredient provides. Similarly, in a joint family also, a child would be getting the love of mother, father, grandmother, mm, uncle, aunt, chacha, chachi, mosa, mosi, and cousins. So every unique relationship which the child would have, it would increase his uh, uh, the love which he was receiving. Today, unfortunately, because of not understanding the importance of living in communities, you will observe that the families are breaking. From joint families, we have come to nuclear families where hum do hamare do. Nowadays, even nuclear families are breaking. There is rampant divorce rate all across the world, and people are now moving into electron and neutron families, maybe. So even husband and wife are not staying together many of the times. So this is really something which all of us can relate with, and all of us should understand the importance, because uh, every person in this world is longing for fulfillment, for love, for experiencing shelter. So this is what a community provides. A community provides that safety net, that security, that fulfillment. Like even nowadays, social communities have become so powerful. Like LinkedIn, I just got this LinkedIn or Twitter, I think, that there was one girl who was needing a kidney, and within 2 3 days that kidney was arranged. And the place where the girl belonged to and the hospital where she was, it was a very remote corner of the world. But there are many such. I am just presenting one such case where so many complicated health cases are being able to be solved by social communities like Twitter. Like even LinkedIn, many times in a pandemic, so many people lost their jobs, and on the LinkedIn, through the power of community, they actually got back their some offers from some remote corner. And this kind of community, this connection, is something which is very very significant for all of our lives. So now I'll share. So after sharing about how communities are so powerful, power of community, next 10 to 15 minutes, I want to share three very essential principles which are very, very important in making a very good community, in making a very strong community. So till now we saw that how communities are so important for our inspiration. Communities help us by giving a security net. Communities help us by giving that sense of fulfillment, and communities add to our strength. Like actually, by having a community, it, like we saw that example of geese, that it adds to our individual strength. There is much more which can be achieved when we are together. So team means together everyone achieves more. Now I thought to share with all of you three stories from the Vedic texts, because I have been a reader of Ramayana, Mahabharata, and Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So I have been reading all these and sharing all this with students, what is relevant for their lives. So I thought to pick three stories which talk about some important community building principles from Ramayana, from Mahabharata, and from Srimad Bhagavatam. So each story is very unique, very special, and conveys a very important point. Like the first story is from Ramayana, where Lord Ram is building, the monkeys are building a Ram Setu for Lord Ram. And uh, you see, in this army, there were very powerful people like Hanuman. There were old and wise advisors like Jambavan. There were leaders who could inspire like Sugriva, and there were young, dynamic people like Angada. So it was a mix, and all the Vanaras together were on one mission. That was to make the Ram Setu, and they were all doing it with collective unity. There was a squirrel, if you see here in the picture, there was a small squirrel which also wanted to add to and contribute to this mission. And the squirrel started picking up small sand particles which are there on the Rameshwaram beach. So Hanumanji says to the squirrel, you get out of the way and let me do my work. If I simply put my one leg on you, you will be finished. And immediately Lord Ram, the leader, came and said that Hanumanji, you are doing your best and the squirrel wants to do its best. So it is not that I am pleased more with you and less with that. less with the squirrel. But it is very, very important for all of us to value the contribution of each one of us. As I was giving example of salt, that in salt, sometimes in preparations, salt may not be valued, but it is very important that we give value to the presence of that particular ingredient, because it is providing a particular flavor which is irreplaceable. In fact, it is said that in the Ram Setu, the big rocks were getting strength because the voids between the rocks were being filled by the sand particles put by the squirrel. And this is what exactly happens when we can value each other's contribution and we can complement each other. That can make a very powerful and very strong community. Like um, this culture is called a culture of share and care, which Lord Ram is teaching us. Now I will put a question in front of all of you, that the monkeys did not know Lord Ram from very long time. It was only during the Vanavas period, when Mother Sita was lost, and it was almost just within a 1 year all these things have happened, and Lord Ram is there with the monkeys. Now, a question which the commentators of Ramayana ask is that how come each and every Vanara in Lord Ram's army was ready to give their lives for Lord Ram? How were they ready to lay down their lives for the mission of Lord Ram? If you observe, Lord Ram's mission was to protect Sita, to bring back Sita, to kill Ravana. It's not that the Vanaras were going to gain something great by doing this. No, for Vanaras personally, it was not something very great to gain. They did not know Lord Ram from long before, because it was only recently they have seen Lord Ram and met him. But still, they wanted to give their lives. On the other hand, also you can see the weapons on Lord Ram's army, the Vanara army. The weapons were only stones. There was no proper weapons or some kind of war, uh, like war में जो अस्त्र शस्त्र use होते हैं, they were not there. On the other side, Ravana had the best of the weapons, the best of the training for his warriors. Ravana was the king of Lanka for such a long time. All of them considered Ravana as their master. But the spirit was what Vanaras had, that was not present in Ravana's army. Why was this? Because there was a particular difference in culture in Lord Ram's army and Ravana's army. This is what I want to share. The culture of Lord Ram was that of share and care. You know, every Vanara who died, Lord Ram would personally perform the final rites for that Vanara, cry tears of gratitude for the Vanara, proclaim the glories of that Vanara, that what all the Vanara did for him, for his sake, and would personally pray for the deliverance of that Vanara. On the other side, Ravana had a culture of use and throw. This culture of use and throw means Ravana would actually, when the soldiers on Ravana's army would die, Ravana would order his people to take the dead bodies of these people and put them deep into the ocean. Because if the opposite party, Lord Ram's party, sees that so many soldiers have died, then they will be enthused. And Ravana didn't want to show to the opposite party how many of them have died, how many on his side have died. So he would simply throw them into the ocean, deep into the ocean. So Ravana was having a philosophy, having a culture of use and throw. Nobody in our community will give give themselves completely, give the best out of themselves, if there is this culture of use and throw. There are certain corporates which have a policy of throwing off the employees. Every year, the down employees they will throw. There is that kind of insecurity among the people, among the employees, because they're really insecure that whether tomorrow they will have the job or not. But those companies who actually follow this principle of care and share, where they value individuals' contribution and they inspire to them to give their best, they perform much better. Let me give you a real example from sports. All of you would have seen the recent IPL, many of you. So the winners, Chennai Super Kings. So I was hearing one interview of Harbhajan Singh where he was sharing about the difference between Mumbai Indians and the difference between Chennai Super Kings. So now Harbhajan Singh is someone who has played for both. He has played for Mumbai Indians also, and he has played for Chennai Super Kings also. So, when Harbhajan was asked that what is the difference, he said there is a ideological difference. In Mumbai Indians, there is a lot of pressure you have to deal with. Too much pressure for performance, too much pressure to be the best, and too much pressure you are subjected to. Even if you are unable to handle some part of that pressure, you can completely crumble. And there is a lot of insecurity that if I don't perform in 1 or 2 matches, I may be removed. And he said that on the other side in Chennai Super Kings, there is this culture of like the captain Dhoni, he is Mr. Cool. So he says his people that see, come on, you have come in the top 11 of such a big country like India. You are in the top sportsmen, top cricketers. Believe in yourself, believe in your own potentials, your specialities, your uniqueness, and be natural. Perform to your best. Don't take anxiety. Go and play naturally and enjoy the sport. And he would even make teammates have lighter moments so that people are stressed off, and he would inspire more team synergy and team victory. And this is one of the reasons you will see that in long run, even in shorter versions of game or in 1 or 2 series, you may see that okay, the kind of pressure if you put, they may perform. But in longer sense, now Chennai Super Kings has won for 4 times IPL, and I think they have come to the finals also, I think 8 or 9 times. So this shows that how this philosophy of share and care in longer run will pay much more than this culture of use and throw. So one is the culture of the community. Second is the cause for which we all stand for. Like Kauravas also had a community, Pandavas also had a community, but the difference is that Kauravas were fighting for their own personal agendas to win over the kingdom, but Pandavas were fighting for dharma. In fact, Arjuna, right in the onset of Gita, says, Kimno Rajyena Govinda. Oh Govinda, what use of me is all this Rajya? I can simply leave all this and go to forest. But Krishna was inspiring Arjuna to fight for dharma. So Pandavas fighting was a dharma yudh, and Kauravas fighting was a personal yudh. In fact, you will see that Pandavas in their community, they were all united under one leadership of Krishna. But Kauravas in their leadership, everybody had vested interests, had personal interests. Karna would not fight if he's not made the commander. Karna would not fight if he doesn't get a charioteer as great as Krishna, what Arjuna had. Bhishma, Duryodhana, Karna, Dushashana, everybody has their own personal agendas in this, in the case of Kauravas, because of which they are all together, but they are not united. They are all together, but they don't form a community, because a community needs a common center, a community needs a common agenda, a common cause for which they stand. So in fact, you will see that how this Shakuni had his own interests, because Gandhari got married to the blind Dhritarashtra. So he had his own personal interest also. So this is cause. And one more pastime which I thought to share with all of you is This is the a photo from Indonesia's airport, but this is a pastime of our own scriptures from Srimad Bhagavatam, the Samudra Manthan Leela. In the Samudra Manthan Leela, there were demons on one side and there were demigods on other side, the devatas on other side, and they both came together for a common purpose to churn the ocean of milk, to get nectar out of it. So in this pastime, something very interesting happens, that the demons, even though they are together, and the devatas, even though they are together, there's a lot of difference between both of their communities. On one side, the demons, when uh, when the nectar comes out, all of them become impatient and they all say that aham purvam, I will take it first, I will take it first. So you can clearly see that all the demons were there together only for their own selfish purpose to get the nectar. But on the other side, the devatas were very patient. The demons never ever heard the good advice of Lord Vishnu, but the devatas were very obedient and they heard their advice. And finally, we will see that the demons actually lost everything and the devatas, they gained a lot. So this is also another very important characteristic of a good community, that it doesn't matter who gets the credit. It doesn't matter who only the purpose should be achieved. The team victory should happen. That is a very important aspect of a very good community. So we can observe this. So there is a saying in English that there is no limit to what we can achieve if if it does not matter who gets the credit. So there is no limit to what we can achieve together if it doesn't matter who gets the credit. So these were some thoughts. I had around 40 minutes. So these were some thoughts which I thought I'll share with all of you uh, on this theme of power of community. Yes. Rakesh, you want
Yes,
to?
sir. Yes,
Uh,
sir. Thank you very much
yes.
for this wonderful session. We have some questions from the audience, sir. Can I ask?
Yeah, we will take the questions, but before taking questions, I'll just quickly summarize what I had shared. So I had shared initially that communities are very important for taking mutual inspiration. Community complements each other. Community adds to our strength, like redwood trees. Community, a diverse community also gives a lot of flavor, like I gave example of cooking, music, and communities have a common center. And actually this our strength, our fulfillment. We also discussed that how we cannot feel fulfillment alone by living selfishly, but living in a community, the power of we can give us real fulfillment. Then we discussed about three very important aspects to make a good community. One is the culture of share and care, which we saw from Ramayana. Second was from Mahabharata, we saw the cause for which we all stand together. Like the Pandavas were siding Dharma, they all stood for Dharma. And the third was that how the Devatas in Samudra Manthan Leela, all of them, they were not behind grabbing the credit and they were very obedient to one common center, which was Lord Vishnu. So these are some very important aspects for a very good community. So yes, you would like to read the questions?
Yes, sir. I will be reading the questions.
Yeah.
Sir, one of the question is, in the community, some people may have the selfish interests or selfish motives. How does
Yes.
it damage the community, and how do we deal with those kind of interests?
Yeah. Very nice question. As I was mentioning throughout in my session also, that the greatest damage to a community will be done by insiders, not outsiders. Outsiders will not break your community. Actually, it is insiders. And one of the reasons why um, That is why I would really suggest that if any time you want to form a community, it is very very important, right at the onset, make it very very clear to people that what we all stand for, why we are here together. And I will also tell you that many a times things start with a good cause, on a bright, on a right tone, that everyone is there. Like, even I know some of my friends who came together for a startup with a very good cause, but once that, like, they say that success has many, like, what do, there's a saying like this, that success has many people who come and say, like, success has many fathers, but failure is an orphan, something like that. There is a saying. The meaning is essentially this, that when something becomes successful, when something becomes big, then there will be so many people to come and say that I was the most important person in the team. So, and failure, then nobody comes ahead. So actually it is very very important that if people are again and again reiterated and reminded about the cause for which we stand, I can assure you that selfless cause, that is why, if the community is based on something selfish, like all the demons in Samudra Manthan Leela, the purpose of they coming together was simply that they want some nectar. Like Kauravas came together just for winning the kingdom, but Pandavas had a higher principle. So I would suggest that if you want a stable community in a longer run, then there have to be higher principles which guide the community. Until and unless we elevate our consciousness from selfishness to selflessness, we cannot actually have a very sustainable community. I hope I answered this. And I would also say one more thing. Like, I also run a community, Umid Foundation. So I see that a very important and practical thing which every community needs is advisors, right spiritual guides. Because there have to be some people in the community who have no gain from the good of the community. They are there simply selflessly. Because if they are there simply selflessly, then they will always tell you the right principles without any bias. And these kind of right guides and right advisors can really help you to unite your community whenever there are some conflicts because of some selfish interest which may creep in. So selfishness is a human tendency, but we all need some divine help and guidance and advisors who can actually elevate our consciousness and tell us, hey guys, this is not for what we have come here together. We are here to do something greater, something bigger. Yeah,
Yes, sir. Basically, we should be like motivated by the higher principles, right?
exactly.
Okay. Okay, sir. Let's move on to the next question. Uh, how to be community friendly if we are an introvert? How to involve with the community?
Yeah, this is a very nice question. Many a times, some of us may have this issue of being little introvertish, and we are unable to, like, maybe communicate or speak. Or so I'll tell you something. If you really want to make a place in a community, what is it's not that important whether you are extrovert or introvert, because extrovert introvert can help you to impress people. But if you want to create an impact in longer run and not simply impress in the shorter run, then you need to actually contribute. So if you are a contributor, like I gave you example of salt, if you remember the example of salt in a preparation. Now you can consider salt to be introvertish, because a salt does not come out and stand and say speak and raise its hand and say that, hey, I am here, recognize me. So, but everybody knows the value of salt because of the contribution which the salt makes to the preparation. So I would really suggest any one of you who are little introvertish to focus on contributing, then to focus on proving your contribution. So you always have a place. Like, in even in corporates, like I know some of my friends who are working in Microsoft, some in Oracle, who really don't speak at all, who really are too introvertish, but they contribute by doing the thing which an extrovert may take 10 days. They can complete it in 2 3 days with their expertise. So you can contribute, you can contribute. Every one of us have to realize we have got uniqueness and unique potentials. So if you tap that unique potential and just think and ask yourself this question, hey, how can I add value to this preparation? How can I add value to this place? How can I add value to my people? And that's it. You will find that you will make a very important and significant place in the lives of people. It may not be on paper, but it will surely be in their hearts. Like, I'll give you a very simple example. Now, many of our mothers, like at least in my like I'm little one generation, you can call, not one generation, maybe half generation behind all of you. So like my mothers, like our mothers at our age, when like our mothers were more, they were uneducated or illiterate. But one of the deepest impacts who have made in our lives are our mothers. Why? Because they have contributed in our life. So there is a unique way in which they have contributed. They have showered love, they have showered affection, they have helped us from our childhood. So I would really say that it's not that much important about how much we are able to speak up and socialize. Yeah, that is, if that is there, it is sone pe suhaga. But more important and more intrinsic is to identify with the cause, to stand by the people, and to contribute in whatever way we can. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So basically, introverts can speak up through their contributions rather than words.
Yes, I remember one video of Virat Kohli when after a long time he hit a century, and he made this kind of symbol that let the bat do the talking. So yes, actions speak louder than words. Exactly.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Yes.
So the next question is, you have talked about the goose principle. I mean,
Yes.
goose example. In that, the leadership position is like, it is changing, right? I
Yeah.
mean, one is tired, in another one goes. Is
Yes.
this model work? Does it work in general life, and is it valid model?
See, what does not work, I'll tell you. This model is called shared leadership. Shared leadership does not mean that there are five cooks who are making the same preparation. Shared leadership means that after a period of time, the goose is going to get tired for sure, because it has taken that toil. Just like I think recently in the 2020s or some particular format, Virat Kohli said that he will not do captaincy, because it takes a lot of toil and energy of a person to manage such a big pressure team, the national team, in so many formats. So now when that goose comes behind, now he doesn't think himself to be the leader anymore. He doesn't think that he still should run the show. Now he has handed it over to the other guy, and the other guy, everyone in the team will now be the subordinates and be the followers, and will go ahead with that leadership. Are you getting? So shared leadership will work if people are people are know clearly what is the right cause. Even see, in the case of goose, in those goose, they are switching leadership because they need that break so quickly. In our cases, in human leaderships, in human communities, we may not need that kind of immediate switching, because they are flying and they are getting physically exhausted. But even in our cases, we may need small breaks. We may need small breaks where we have to take out, and someone else should be given the uh, burden of responsibility. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for answering our questions and giving your valuable time, sir. It was really very nice. Basically, the examples you shared were excellent, actually. Goose community and the redwood trees example, and the ingredients in like salt, and everyone has some contribution towards the community. We may not recognize it, but everyone has it. And then you shared the three important points required for a community that value the contribution of everyone. You shared a very nice story from Ramayana, the share and care instead of use and throw. That is very nice, sir. And you also shared the story from Mahabharata. It does not matter who gets the credit, but team motive should be kept at the highest. So these are all were really excellent, sir. They gave us very nice insights. So we would like to
Rakesh, sorry to interrupt you, but you are on mute. Can you please unmute yourself?
okay. Sorry. Is it visible now? Is it audible now?
Yes, yes, Rakesh.
And I'm okay. Okay. Is it visible now? Screen.
Yes, it is visible.
So we would like to thank you by this momento, sir. Thank you very much for taking out time and presenting us a wonderful session. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much. So I hope that all of you had something valuable which you can carry ahead for your own personal lives, and also all the best for your newly formed this life community, right? Thank you.
Yes, sir. We are building a life community.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank,
Thank you.
thank you, sir.